today. Today's discussion is about managing your mind when you are having a bad day. So, the reality is you're going to make a lot of mistakes in tennis. You're going to fail a lot, more so than any other sport. Um, you know, I always use the example of Roger Federer. Federer played his most incredible year and he lost about 3 or 4 matches. I speak under correction, but he also broke the record for the most consecutive wins in a year. The interesting statistic is that he only won 53% of all points that he played. So if he played 100 points in a match, we know you play more points. He played 100 points. He only won 53% of all those points. So for you in tennis, you're going to deal with failure a lot. And if you don't deal with failure well, it can become like a virus. Now, I don't think Federer had that incredible year because of how he dealt with winning points. I think it's all about how he dealt with his failure. Now, what happens if you wake up and you're playing or you're practicing, maybe it's a tournament, and you're not having a great day. You're having a B or a C day. You just kind of like say, oh, okay, you know what, that is what it is. And you say, okay, well, I guess I'm going to lose today. No, your ability to be effective on a B or a C day, to squeeze out a win, that is the determining factor as to how good you become. So again, first thing you want to do in the mornings is have a good awareness. What type of day am I having? Now, we don't want to label days, but we do need to be aware. Okay, I'm either having a good day or not. Now, I go back to Pete Sampras. I hope you guys know him. Pete Sampras, one of the all-time great players, #1 in the world for a long time. He said the reality is that 7 out of 10 days, I had a bad day. So this was #1 in the world. And while he was #1 in the world, he had 7 out of 10 days that was either a B or a C day. So I think the first thing that you need to have in managing your mind, managing your thinking, is awareness. And then you have to accept, okay, this is my type of day. And then changing the way you go about it. Because when we're having a good day versus when we're having a bad day, we can't follow the same process, the same recipe. It's not going to sit well. Maybe you're physically tired, maybe you're mentally tired, and understanding why you're having a bad day. But why do we say, first and foremost, you need to be aware? Because you got to manage yourself differently. And typically on a bad day or a B or a C day, our minds tend to attach to things. It attaches to the fact that, man, I practiced so hard, and now I'm going to go into this tournament and I'm having a B or a C day physically, mentally, for whatever reason. Your job as a competitor, if you want to be a top competitor, is to manage yourself on that day. So having awareness can help you manage yourself differently. And then you're going to say, okay, what are these attachments? I'm attached to this. I'm feeling negative about this. So my first recommendation to you is your mind, what it attaches to. Does that take away from your project or does it add to your project? What do I mean with that? If something is taking your focus, is it helping you achieve something towards your goals? Or is it taking away from that? If it takes away, then your job, first and foremost, is to get rid of it. Now, acceptance on a day like that is super important. Let me explain acceptance to you. Acceptance is, imagine a pilot. He's in a plane and he goes through turbulence. Now that process, typically what happens is the captain is supposed to take that plane higher or to the side or lower to avoid the bad weather, to avoid the turbulence, because if that plane stays in turbulence, it'll shake apart. And this is typically what happens to competitors. When they feel emotional, they feel upset, they're having bad days. If you don't manage yourself and you rise above your turbulence, you're going to fail. So the real victory on that day isn't necessarily on the scoreboard. It is how you manage your mind. And acceptance says, okay, hey, I'm having a bad day, but what am I going to do about it? All right. So you got to let go of how you feel about the fact that you're having a bad day. And then you got to ask yourself the question, am I going to let this own me, or am I going to own it? What does that mean? Like, your bad days own you, right? You got to let go of your dreams and your goals. Second thing that you want to do is you want to have perspective. Perspective means that, listen, the world is not as it is. The world is as we see it. So on a bad day, typically you're looking through a tinted window. And on that day, you're basically looking, let's say, through a blue tinted window. So you see everything with a shade of blue. And in knowing that, saying that, hey, the way I see it is what will make the difference in the end today. So there's that saying that, you know, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. So again, your perspective on a day that things are going wrong is all about the actions that you take, how you respond to it. Now let me quickly explain to you the difference between react and respond. Reacting is when something happens to me and I let my emotions counter, make a decision. Respond is something happens to me, I accept my feelings and my emotions, but I push them to the side, I detach from it, and I say, okay, hey, what needs to happen here? So responding, as opposed to reacting, is the thinking brain. I want you to think a little bit about your everyday life. Let's say back at home. You get disappointed. Something gets taken away from you. First thing that'll come across is how you feel about it. And you must move past that. Because reaction in tennis, we know, does not sit well. You have to learn to respond. The other way you can change your perspective is big picture. That point or two that I lost, the fact that I am having a bad day, it's not the end of the world. There are way more urgent things in life. So it's only a game. The next thing that you want to look at is gratitude. And that's what we do every morning. We practice gratitude so that we can learn how to change our perspective. Saying, you know what, I still have a pretty good life. I remember the motivational speech that I looked at, and it's a Navy SEAL. He goes, you're just having a bad moment. You're just having a bad day. You don't have a bad life. So always, perspective helps you with those bad days. And again, why are we discussing bad days? Because it is that important. So, accept your day, decide what you're attached to, change your perspective. Big thing for me on a day, let's say you determine you're having a C day. The victory on that day is not the scoreboard. The victory on that day is the fact that you're walking off with the C+ day. Whatever you can to improve your situation. So, the biggest part of a bad day is when you lose that clarity of mind. Your mind starts getting overactive. Think about it. When you're having a bad day, maybe you're not feeling your forehead. Whatever the reason is, you typically start thinking too much. You start overthinking. Let me tell you why that's a problem in tennis. Because tennis is a reaction sport. Meaning, that ball, the moment it starts going in motion, it's going to have a lot of information for you. Meaning, it's going to tell you where to be. It's going to tell you when to be there. It's going to tell you how you need to hit it. It's going to tell you what tactically is possible. Now, if you don't understand that, I suggest you try and play 2 points of tennis, closing one eye or closing two eyes. And you'll quickly understand that tennis is a game of question and answer. That ball coming at me is a question. Now, I'm going to get a little bit like technical here. It's a rhetorical question. So that question that comes at me holds the answer as well. So when that ball comes at you, you have to realize all that information. The quicker I can take that information, the better I can prepare, and the better tactical decisions I can make. Now, typically on a bad day, our focus tends to go internal. What do I mean with internal? We start thinking, the voices are going on. We're like, there's a lot going on. Now we know that takes you out of the moment. It takes you in the future or the past. It takes you with your feelings. So when you start a point on a bad day, it's a lot more tough than on a good day. Because the first thing you got to do is you got to clear your mind. You got to shut all that thinking off. And now you say, hey coach, but you're getting very, very deep and technical here. Guys, this is necessary. It might sound tough, but your job when that point starts is to be absolutely aware of what's coming to you, but not attached to something. I'll give you the example again. So back in Florida, you drive, and then this guy with a big truck sits on the back of you. Now I can say it because I have a big truck, but this guy sits, he's tailgating, and you get frustrated, and now you're irritated, and you're looking in the rearview mirror, and you're so focused in the rearview mirror, like that bad mistake you just made, how bad you feel about it, that you neglect to see what's in front of you. So if you're so attached to what's in the rearview mirror, what's behind you, you start failing with what's in front of you. So meaning in tennis, if my mind is too active and I'm hanging on to that mistake I just made or how I feel, it steals the present moment from me. So your ability to be in the moment as a tennis player is super important, and that's tough on a bad day. So focus management, move on, detach. Remember, there are only 2 days in the year that I can't do anything about. That's tomorrow and yesterday. But today, I can do something about it. And tennis, I want to take that and swing it around and say, hey, it's more about moments. There are 2 moments that I can't do anything about. Previous moment and the next moment. So this moment in front of you is the most important thing. And guys, clear your mind. Before you play that point, detach. Now, tennis is not a game of perfect. And anybody that follows a perfectionistic approach, you're going to end up very disappointed because of, especially on a bad day. You know, I take, every time I had to prepare for a tournament and my preparation went well, in the early days, the mistake I would make is I would go into the tournament and think, you know what, I'm ready. Things are going to go well. And I mean, that's like, you want to think like that. But then when things went wrong, I wasn't mentally prepared for it. I was so disappointed that I'm not taking my practice level into the match level. And I've quickly figured out that, hey, no, go in expecting the worst and do the mental work. And the other thing I found is the opposite is sometimes when I had a bad practice week, I would force myself to go and play a tournament because I was ready mentally, maybe technically, or my forehand didn't work necessarily, but I went into that tournament okay with when things are going to go wrong. So don't wait for things to be right. If you're going to wait for things to be right, then you're never going to be ready. Go in with the mentality that things are going to go wrong, but trust yourself that you can navigate yourself through it, through that turbulence. Take a progressive approach. That mistake you just made, it doesn't define you. Define yourself by your actions in the next moment. Now, if you tell me like, Coach, you're telling me it's okay to accept mistakes. No, I'm saying accept it as the truth. The truth of the matter is, yes, you made a mistake. It's true, it's not false. Something didn't happen. Could even have been that you're a little unlucky. What I am saying is, a progressive approach says, okay, I made that mistake, let me move on. But the next moment, I'm going to take care of quality. So your job, especially on a bad day, is to take care of that next moment's attitude, that moment in front of you. Let go of the bad moments. Remember, a bad day, a bad match, a bad practice, it's a little bit like a storm. Now let me explain your opponent in terms of a storm. What do I mean? Every opponent is supposed to bring a storm your way. As humans, we tend to avoid storms. I mean, in Florida, we get those hurricanes, and we get prepared. We go, we leave. But the reality is, your opponent's supposed to bring a storm after a storm after a storm. And the better the opponent is, the more storms they're going to bring your way. So it's not about not facing the storm. You're going to absolutely face the storm, because that is what will make you strong and smart. So when you face the storm, it's about leaving yourself in a good space for once that storm has passed. And then you ask yourself, how many more storms will my opponent bring my way? 3? All right, I'm ready for 4. That's got to be your mentality. That's got to be your thinking in the face of a storm. And then you clear your mind. How do you clear your mind? Clarity for a tennis player is absolutely important. It is detaching from emotions, letting the thinking brain make the decisions. And a big one here, no excuses. So I don't know if you guys saw it, but on the news, after the French Open final, the headline was Jannik Sinner, the victim in the final. Now, we don't see that in sport. There are no victims. So don't have a victim mentality on a bad day. It's like, why is this happening to me? No. It is part of competition. And that bad day, in fact, is a way for you to achieve mental gains. Saying, hey, I'm going to come out of this mentally stronger. I'm building my resilience. I'm strengthening my power of will. So no excuses. There are no victims. I think when you have a full heart, you understand that you're human, you're not supposed to be perfect, right? That's what can make you strong. Don't be reduced by the outside. Internal strength. That's what a full heart means. Meaning, it doesn't matter what happens to me. I can internally find strength. Now, how do I do that when I grow up in a comfort zone? Guys, that's your disadvantage in the US. You're growing up in a comfort zone. So it has to be a mental decision when things get tough. I'm not defined by it. I'm defined by how I go about it, how I rise above it. And now the last one. What is your why? On a bad day, why are you not going to avoid it? Why are you going to fight it? Why are you going to go and get knocked down 9 times and choose to stand up 10 times? The reason for that is because of your why. Your why determines how hard you're going to fight on a bad day. Now, if you don't know what your why is, then on a bad day, it's easy to walk away from it and say, you know, no, I'm not up for this. So let me remind those points to you quickly again. The way to deal with a bad day and to manage your mind, number 1 is awareness. Number 2 is perspective. Number 3, acceptance. Number 4, become present. Number 5, it's not a game of perfect. Number 6, have a full heart. Number 7, remember your why. Alright guys, I wish you all the best with that. But in the end, dealing with bad days and failure is a big reason why some of you guys will give yourself a big chance to succeed. Okay, all the best.